Hey, what's up, YouTube? So this is going to be part 7 of the MR2 K24 K20. This is my personal build, and let's get started. So I got some mounts in today, and I got my shifter bracket, and I got my clutch line from Hux Racing. Came a lot faster than I thought. I thought it was going to be another week, but they got it here. These are the super solid mounts, so they don't have any bushings. Yeah, it's going to feel like a race car, but I don't mind. They're a little bit cheaper, and I'm kind of on a budget right now. So I got my new bearings for my my rods right here. Got some HP rods, and then these are TSX pistons, just stock pistons. I am doing just a street build. I'm not going all crazy, so I don't really need any compression, really. Just a good strong engine. That's the reason why I upgraded rods, just to make sure that my bottom end is gonna be able to take. I'm gonna be planning on revving to like 8,500 safely. So I mean, I got ARP head studs, and I really did it for these because I just don't want to have a rod problem. I want this motor to be able to last. So the strength is everything to me on the K24 that goes out is the rods and the bolts. Just keep these rods super secure, so I don't really want to have to worry about my bottom end. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and open this box, and then I want to start explaining which ring goes where, why, and how to install it properly, and basically show you how to build your own block so you can not have any problems when you're doing it, in case you're doing one right now or in the future. So let me open this box, and then we'll go ahead and start showing you what we need to get to and do. All right, so let's start with the first ring right here. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's not really much to it, except for the fact that when you're installing the ring, you want to have a certain side up on the first ring. So it usually have a little marking with let's see if I can get this on camera, of the side that's facing up. So let me break these down to one. All right, so this one has a little small marking. You can't really see it, but it says N up here. So that side you want up. Yeah, because other than that, it would have a marking at the bottom. So this is your first ring, and you want it's gonna either have a dot or something that'll indicate that this is the top side of the ring. So this is the first ring. You don't want to mix these up, but you can't really mix it into the second one, because this one's a little thicker. So this is the first one right here, and then this is your second ring, which is gonna be these right here. They're a little bit skinnier, and you also want to have either the dot or letter or whatever it is on your rings to be up. So this one has an N on it, so when we're installing it, we're gonna make sure that that's up. Same on the second one. And then let me open the oil ones. These are a little bit different as well. So there's 2 oil rings, a top and bottom, and then there's a little, like a mesh one. I'll show you right now. So all right, so you got 4 each. This is our mesh one right here. These go between these 2 rings. So there's gonna be, you got 8 oil rings, and on these, I don't believe they have that indicator, so I don't think it matters which ones you have going up on these ones, but you're gonna be using 2, one top to bottom. So the mesh one goes in the center, right? And then on the mesh, to make sure you're installing this right, you wanna make sure it's butt up against each other, like that. You don't want it to overlap. That's not an improper way to do it. So basically butt up against each other like that, and that's it. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and start installing a ring to show you. So got one right here, and we're just gonna wrap it around. Just be very careful when installing them. They're very sensitive. They have memory. It's like memory metal. So now that you see I got this in, the gap is right here, as you can see. And on all the piston rings, you want them on the opposite side. So the gap is on this side. So the other ring that I install, the gap is gonna be 180. It's gonna be on this side. And then the same for the top two rings. The top two rings, I'm gonna have it on this side, and then the other vice versa on the other side. So you basically want all gaps to be on separate sides of each other. So that's one thing when installing piston rings that you should do. That's basically in the manual. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and just finish installing. That way I can kind of get you up to how it's gonna look. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock this out real fast, and then we'll come back. All right, so I got 3 of them done so far, and let me give you a preview of how it's gonna look. So I got this on this side, and then the bottom ring is on the opposite side, so you can see 180, and then this one, oil ring, and then on the other side you got the gap over here. So that's basically how you want it. You want them to be able to free as much. You don't want no you know, you want to be able to at least turn them, because that's how it's going to be in the cylinder. If they get stuck, then you could have smoke, or you know, have some problems. So make sure that your pistons, if you are using used ones, make sure they're clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to do this one so you can show you guys. So like I said, on these bottom rings, they don't have any indications on them, so up or down is okay. So let's go ahead and get that one wrapped around. All right, so got that ring facing this corner. Now I'm gonna get the mesh type oil, and like I said, I usually do this one just like in the center. So I'll just make sure that they don't overlap. You don't want it to overlap. You want it to be butted up right against each other like that. And then let's see, our other ring, so our ring gap is on this side, so we're gonna go on the opposite side over here. So place my ring over there. All right, so got the ring gap on this side, and now my second ring, which is gonna be second, is right here, and it should say N2. So on my first ring it says N, and then the second ring N2. So this just indicates that this goes into the second. You can't mix these together, except this one can go maybe in the bigger one, but if you're trying to put all 4 of them, they won't work. So just make sure that the ring 2 goes into the second gland. So I'm gonna run it the opposite of those two. So I'm gonna run it over here, and then the top ring is gonna go over here. So let's get this installed. Just be real careful when you're installing them, because like I said, these have memory in them. So that moves real smooth in there like that. And now I can go to this side, which I'll put the top ring in, or N1. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, so this is gonna be the top ring, and my gap's over here, so I'm going to do the opposite over here. So you just want to kind of put it in there, just be careful. Alright, so that's it. So it moves real smooth, no problems. It's on this side. Other ring gaps on the other side. Both oils are both on the opposite side. So all 4 have their own side, and the mesh one is butted up against. So all 4 of these are complete. Now it's time to install into the block. But first thing I want to do is I'm gonna take some WD-40 and clean all this out with a rag, because even when you get it from the machine shop, it's still dirt in there. So I'm gonna clean that up, and then another thing we're gonna do is install the pistons on the opposite, so TDC. So we have the pistons at TDC on the opposites, and then BTC when we're doing the center. So that way when you're pushing the rod down on there, the bearing doesn't pop out, which has happened to me before. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, and then we'll come back to the rod installation. Right, so as you can see, I kind of cleaned it. Let me wipe this one a little bit more, so I'm gonna be installing it. But yeah, as you can see, it's a lot shinier now. WD-40 is a cleaner too. A lot of people don't know that. That's what they used to use back in the day to clean bins. So if you're thinking it's just for rusty bolts and everything, it's not. So I did the same thing to these as well. So all you're really doing when you're installing these, I want to show you guys, it's not really that hard. You're just taking it and you're just gonna line it up like that. Make sure it's lined up with the key and just press it in. That's it, guys. It's not much to it. So I'll do the bottom. Make sure it's clean, wipe down. So as you can see, all I'm doing is lining up there with that. Press down in there, it's flat. Make sure it's good. I'll wipe that down as well. And then now, so another thing when installing pistons is that, as you can see, it has an arrow, it has IN. This means intake side. So I don't know if you can really see, but the valve reliefs are bigger than the exhaust. So that's another indication, but this is for intake side. So on the block, this is the front. As you can see, this is the water pump housing. And the knock sensor is right there, so that's indication that's the front. And if you need to know what the back is, it's just usually where the VIN is at, or as you can see, that's the oil filter. That's where it usually goes, and then that's oil pressure. So this is the back. So the piston is gonna go in like this. So oops. Right now I'm gonna go get the ring compressor, and go ahead and drop these pistons in real fast. So I'm gonna knock that out real fast. All right, so I got my first piston in, and I torqued it down. Here we go. With the ARP bolts, torqued them down to 88 pounds. That's what they recommend. So this is the first one. I just want to make sure. What you want to do after each rod install is just make sure that your crank is still turning smoothly. You know, that's what it's all about. Is smooth. The smoother, the better. Some people are probably asking me what bearings I use and how come I'm not using Honda. They have specific colors and everything, but aftermarket ACLs, they're pretty good. While having to match each one. So aftermarket rod bearings are pretty good on clearance as long as everything is smooth. I mean, this is just a stock build anyway, so it's not even nothing really major. But I'm gonna go ahead and install the second one and get that, make sure that's good. And then the third and fourth one, I'll show you how I'm actually dropping the piston in and everything. I just wanted to get you guys understanding of how I'm doing it. So I'm gonna put it back to top dead center, so when I drop the piston in, it'll be easy. Also, when you're dropping your rods in, make sure when you put your caps on that these are lined up. Those are your indicators to let you know that they have to be on the same side. and they have even the same marking numbers to match, so the other side doesn't. So if you have one side on another, it might bind up, it might do something weird. So always spin your crank after each one. I'm gonna go ahead and install the other side of the top dead center, and then we'll come back. All right, so I got my second piston in, and let's see if we can crank this up. My hands are kind of slipping because I got grease all over them, but it's still pretty smooth. I can turn it by hand, no problem. As the process goes, it gets a little harder, but it's because the rotation, all the bearings got to break in, but you shouldn't feel any kind of weird kinks or anything. If you do, start that cylinder again or check to see anything's wrong. But as you can see, intake. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop this down to BDC, bottom dead center, to where we can make sure these, when we push down the pistons, that they just drop right onto the crank. So I'm gonna get the pistons prepared real fast so I can just show you how to drop it in. But for now, I just want to show you that I do put some oil. I get a little 10W40, and just you kind of want to bring it all around, fill some more, but you want to fill that all in with some oil just so it's lubricated and it goes down smoother. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna install the rest of these bearings, and then I'm gonna put some Lucas on them to make sure that when it's on the crank it's all smooth as well. So I'm gonna get that prepared and then show you guys how to drop a piston. All right, so we got the piston rings pressed, and I just want to show you, I lubricate that with Lucas. Make sure you get a good torque. I lubricate this as well, the bearings. I got my pistons rings with some oil on them, and now I can put this inside. So just want to make sure intake, on the intake side, just go slowly down in here, and then I leave the piston slightly out the skirt so you can kind of basically already be in there. And then let's see if I can get this to sit right here. All right, so what we do is we just, as tight as we can, and then just to make sure everything's flat so the piston rings don't pop out. And after that, you can just give it a simple tap. And that's how you do your piston. It's pretty simple. The hardest part is the preparation, as in like the piston rings, making sure everything's lubricated. I mean, other than that, it's not too bad. So if engine blocks are kind of your kryptonite and you're afraid to do them, trust me, I was there before too when I did mine about 12 years ago. So now I'm just gonna take the rods, torque them down, and that'll be it for the assembly of my pistons and rods. So I might throw on some ARPs right now just to kind of make it look nice, but other than that, that's gonna be it. So I'm gonna throw those on real fast, and then I'll come back and do a review. All right guys, so I just installed the head studs for now. I am still waiting for the gasket. I got a cosmetic gasket I ordered. Should be here within the next couple days, so we can go ahead and slap the head on. I'm just gonna go with a stock head for now. I'll build later. I just want to break this motor in, but show you how it spins. I mean, it spins smooth. I'm barely turning it by hand. I mean, as you can see, it's all smooth. And that's it, guys. So if you haven't, like, share, subscribe, comment, let me know what you guys think. Hit that notification, that way you can know when exactly I load up a video. If you want to contact me on here, you can, or Instagram, K-Series Works, email honda.mike1988@gmail.com. Stay tuned, guys. Like I said, I got way more content coming in. A couple cars. I got a SI transmission I'm going to be doing as well. Show you guys how to drop that. I'll see you guys next time.